part of efforts to alleviate the impact of fuel subsidy removal, the federal government of Nigeria has provided 64 buses, CNG buses, to various labor unions and the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. This initiative aims to reduce the financial burden on workers and students who are facing rising transportation costs. The buses handed over during an official ceremony are expected to be deployed across the country to assist in the transportation of union members and students at subsidized rates. These buses are part of a broader commitment by the government to engage with labor and student bodies on strategies for mitigating the high cost of living. This significant event took place on Sunday at the State House Conference Center, Abuja, as part of Nigeria's 64th Independence Anniversary celebration. The initiative aims to provide affordable and efficient transportation to Nigerians, especially after the removal of fuel subsidies under the Presidential Initiative on Compressed Natural Gas, PCNGI. Now, according to the Coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, this distribution of buses fulfills President Bola Tinubu's promise to support Nigerians with affordable transportation, with fuel costs for CNG-powered vehicles being about 1/3 of those for petrol-powered vehicles. Motorists can now fill their tanks for as low as 15,000 naira instead of 50,000 naira or even more. The representatives of TUC, NLC and NANS commended President Tinubu for this gesture and called for more CNG buses to be made available to the public. In our program today, we'll bring you updates on CNG buses, labor union and student union take delivery. I am your carrier, Clinton, and welcome to Nigeria Today. Now, joining me in the studio for the conversation is Comrade Nta News24. Nta News24 is the head International Relations and Liaison to National Assembly, Nigerian Labour Congress. Glad to have you join us.
Thank you.
Now, of course, you had the introduction, and of course, talking about the delivery of the CNG buses to labour unions and, of course, the student bodies. I want to get your reaction to this, this gesture by the federal government.
Well, today we got a delivery of 5 short buses and 10 long buses. Because in what I've been given, Nigerian Labour Congress is supposed to get 20 buses. So we've gotten delivery today, this evening, of 15, having a deficit of 5. So, if you have followed us for a long time, one of the major issues we have raised with government that remained contentious, that was part of our demand, and that was reached agreement and signed agreement, was the delivery of CNG buses. To the extent that the delivery of the buses have started, we can say this is a positive step forward, because we have been quarreling that it is not forthcoming because of the impact and pressure of transportation on the ordinary Nigerian citizens. But like we said yesterday during the official inauguration, that this number of buses are a far cry to the needs and demand. Because even if at this moment we say one bus per state, we could only but cover 15 states. Even if the other 5 buses are given, we'll cover 20. And you know, in practical terms, if we really want this bus to start impacting on the transportation, that means not one single of the bus will leave Abuja if we really want it to have impact.
I understand what you just saying. However, the federal government, just like you initially said, is a step in the right direction. It's a positive step.
Oh, sure.
Having said that, now, can you explain to us the significance of the, of this delivery of the CNG buses, generally?
Yeah, what I can say is the significance is that we are starting to move towards a new direction that, if consummated, will help ameliorate the pressure on transportation in the land. That's the significance. That the step towards ameliorating the pressure and hardship occasioned by high costs of transportation, that the journey to move it down have started.
Okay, thank you very much, Comrade Uchenna. We are being joined via Zoom now by Obinna Nwaka. He's the Director General, Committee on Youth Mobilization and Sensitization, CYMS. You're welcome to Nigeria today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure for having me tonight in your studio. Sorry, I'm joining via Zoom because of on schedule. I'll be an emergency meeting with the Senior Special Assistant to Mr. President's Public Legal Compliance, Barrister Bashi.
Now, Obinna, we just, during the introduction, of course, we talked about the delivery of the 64 buses by the federal government to the student union and the labor unions by the federal government. They just took delivery. And of course, the comrade here in the studio, has acknowledged the receipt of some of the buses by the union, by the labor union. Now, we want to get, what is your perception about this recent, distribution of buses, to these bodies?
Yes, the development came as a result of the promises that are made by Mr. President. Secondly, I want the Nigerians to recall that a few months ago, I was also live on the NTA studio where I sensitized Nigerians about the importance of the CNG, which is the compressed natural gas. Now, this is an avenue of the federal government to test run the usage of this their policy. And let us not forget the fact that this policy of compressed natural gas started with the previous administration when they traveled abroad to initiate these policies, but unfortunately they were not able to implement it. Now the federal government, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they are initiating this policy of compressed natural gas. And what is the essence? The essence is to do what? To divert our attention and our dependence on oil, especially the fuel issue that we've been having in this country, so that vehicles such as CNG vehicles will make life more easy, bearable for Nigerians. Now, Nigerian government have said, okay, they want to encourage public office holders and civil servants to do what? To patronize CNG vehicles. Now, they are certainly with the organized labours, which comprise the Trade Union Congress, which comprise the Nigerian Labour Congress, and also the Nigerian government deeming fit to also to integrate with the students, which is the body which coordinates. And the distribution was also held yesterday to do what? To commemorate the 64th independent anniversary of our great country. And what is that significant means is that they have done what? They have injected a great history in Nigeria. The great history is that everybody should take the CNG policy very, very serious. We all know that Mr. President said yes, the policy must start from what? The politician, not the public office holders. He also mandated the head of ministry, department, and agencies to do what? To key into that what? That policy. And this direction is very, very key. And for them to commence this policy yesterday, it is what? A very strong message that Mr. President be well, and every policy they announce and they are implementing, they want to make sure that, yes, everybody and Nigeria, they key into it. We can all attest that the fuel issue is becoming like one of the fundamental challenges we are having today, cost of high rates of living, cost of food production in the society, inflation and all those things. If we can encourage the government, support the government to key into this policy, I think we are going to have the reduction of high level of poverty and employment that we are having today. We can all reckon that today we have so many centers whereby they are coupling CNG buses and all those CNG gas stations and all those things. So if the organized laborers can take this initiative very serious, commend the government, and also appreciate the fact that at least some numbers of vehicles has been delivered to them, which has been a promise made by the Mr. President. At least other citizens will also do what? To key into it, because they say leadership should be by the leaders, and they are the leaders of the workers, and the workers are also looking up to them. So now that they have gotten a delivery, the first thing that Mr. President wants to see is that are they going to utilize it very, 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 very well? And you know, so many people are even taking their private vehicles to conversion centers. And you know what that means? The reduction of queue at our filling station is coming up gradually. And before you know that, these Dangote issues and NNPC issues will be reducing. People will no longer be killing themselves to go and...
Thank you very much, Nwaka. We'll come back to you. Thank you so much for your, your take on that. Now, back to you, Chenda. You heard what Obinna said, that if the labor union, the student union, would appreciate what the government is doing, and of course support the government. I also want to get your take on this part, supporting the government in all of this.
Me, I actually don't understand what it means by that, because I don't know what call for support. We have been out there shouting about the need to have CNG buses. So nobody is looking for our support. We have already known, we have always known that anything that will bring down the cost of transport, I don't think there is actually really a campaign for people to buy into CNG buses. People have bought into it. What we keep asking is let it be available and let the centers for conversion be available. You don't need to mobilize anybody who pays 100,000 to fill his tank to go for an option that will pay 20,000. Once he knows it's working.
Okay, having said that, Comrade Uchenna, now tell us, what impact do you think that these CNG buses would have on transportation, especially local transportation?
Again, I want to stress it, that we are clear that having CNG-operated buses, I've spoken in this year's studio, I've spoken in other studios. In fact, at the time, it was actually one of our main cause for threatening a national protest for not the CNG buses being rolled out. We know that having those buses out, anything that pushes down the cost of transportation will help in reducing the cost of food, the cost of movement, help to drop down the inflation. We are very clear about that. So it's not about galvanizing us to support. We believe in the CNG buses. So it's not about you want to galvanize us to buy into it. No, we believe in it. That is why when it was presented, we said, oh, this is a good gesture, this is a good starting, but that these numbers will not achieve the result intended. The only way you get that result is that there will be more of these buses and there will be more centers where individuals will convert their own, both individual commercial drivers and individual personal vehicle users. So we believe in it.
But Comrade Uchenda, I understand, of course, you've said it from the Abini issue, but that more of the buses. But this, like you said, is a step in the right direction.
Yes.
For starting off, for the first delivery shows that the present administration is determined to alleviate, the plight of the people, by releasing these buses. Now back to you, Obin Nawaka. You talked about support. I would love that you throw more light on that. The support you mean from these bodies that have been, handed over these vehicles, to ensure that we achieve the desired goal.
Please go back again. I think I lost that question.
Oh, okay. I said you talked earlier about support, from these bodies that have been, taking delivery of these CNG buses. So I would want you to throw more light on the kind of support you're talking about from these bodies, and of course, what should be done to ensure that we achieve the desired goal of these buses, that have just been delivered.
Thank you very much. The support I'm talking about here is that I will also emphasize on it. Before this time, organized labor has been emphasizing on these CNG buses and a release of buses to ease the workforce of Nigerian workers. Now, there is an agenda behind the release of these CNG buses. What is the agenda? Is to create awareness behind the policy, so that people will not understand that truly CNG buses are also are available. And the federal government are expecting the organized labor to do to project it, to also use that avenue to do to promote it. Now, if I beg to disagree with my co-guest in the studio, in person of Comrade Uche. Why I want to disagree with him is that he is emphasizing that the buses are not enough compared to the workforce of Nigerian workers. You don't expect federal government to know that Nigerian workers may be about 3 million and they release about 2,000 or 3,000 buses. No, so people may not be able to key into it, number one. Number two, they want to see the awareness they are going to create about it. They want to see the yearnings of Nigerians. They want to see the patronage of Nigerian workers. They want to see the appreciation of Nigerian workers toward this initiative. See, every policy that be put into place by the federal government, the agenda is to are people truly appreciating this policy. The essence is to what? No, me and people have been expecting the organized labor to come together.
Okay, Obinna. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you. I know you still have a lot to say, but here I want to listen to to some Nigerians. We'll take a short break now and listen to some Nigerians on this issue, on the CNG, distribution of the CNG buses to labor unions and, of course, student unions, as put together by Thomas Ogwetere. Don't go away.
The provision of these student bus by the government is very, very good, because it will help students and it will make them, like most people that cannot afford transport fare due to the high cost of fuel prices and stuff like that. Many students now miss lecture, but the provision of this bus will help them to be able to attend lectures.
Their safety, you also protect them, because these days you are not sure of the car you are entering to go home. So that bus, you are sure that bus will take you to your destination. You are sure of the person driving the bus.
With that bus, the students will be able to go to their campuses in a cheaper rate, and they will be able to go to classes cheaper. And
labor does not constitute the greatest number of Nigerians. The Nigerian transport sector, like NACO, like various other organizations are there. You don't expect labor to serve the whole of Nigerians. cities, various villages and all these are there, except they can diversify to every transport organization shall share it to them.
For my school, the transport, when I got to school, we were paying 50 naira. Then at the point, now we are paying 100 naira. So the buses will help we students, most especially those staying outside. Some are staying very far from school, so it will reduce the cost of transport and all of that. So it will help the students very, very well.
Considering the current situation of Nigeria, the buses will actually help reduce the cost of transportation, and
it's very nice of the government to do that for us students, because it will help us in so many ways, especially those people living outside the school. It will help them, it will really help them, and it's a good thing.
Welcome back. In case you are just joining us, this is Nigeria Today. We're looking at the update on presidential CNG initiative, talking about the CNG buses that have been handed over to the labor unions and, of course, the student unions. And I have here with me a comrade in the studio, and via Zoom I also have a gentleman. Now, Comrade Uche, you had a reaction of the student there, how important this means to them. So, of course, somebody said they should also diversify. Other people should also be, part of this, talking about other organizations, and also the private sector. How important is it for the private sector to also key into this? Because you can't say, okay, the federal government should do it all.
Well, at times I laugh when you hear some of the comments from the guy, and you see, first and foremost, I made this point when the inauguration took place yesterday. The people you do anything for, you don't need television advert. It's workers. You don't need it. If they start entering these buses as a cheaper rate, they will be discussing it in their neighborhood. They will be telling it to anybody. It's only contractors that government pay, they will hide that they have been paid. If workers get salary, the market women will know. And that is why whenever we talk about doing things that will affect the working people, we know it will even be the greatest advert the government will do. Calling for our support is, there is no support you need to call unless we have come to say, why are you bringing these CNG buses? These buses that now we are not sure the car will work. No. We have said, this is the way to go. So, we have already made it public that this is the way to go. And my earlier statement have said, once you have conversion points accessible, commercial drivers, those are the private sector you are talking about, will go and do it. The private people who drive their personal vehicles will go and do it. It's a common sense thing. Nobody wants to pay more when you have an alternative where to pay less. So this CNG doesn't even need campaign. The campaign is done. Provide more buses. People pay less transport. They will talk about it.
Thank you.
That we're now getting cheaper transport.
Thank you very much, Comrade Uchenna. I really hope you had more time to say more, but this is where we draw the curtain on today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to Comrade Uchenna Ekwe. He's the head international relations and liaison to National Assembly, Nigerian Labour Congress. Thank you so much for coming. And we also had Obi Nawaka, his Director General, Committee on Youth Mobilization and Sensitization, CYMS. Thank you for finding time to be with us on the program.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure for having me tonight.
And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on Nta News24. You can also watch a repeat at 10 p.m. today, as well as other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am Ikaria Clinton. Thanks for watching. you.